Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Let's Talk Seahawks podcast. I'm your host, Robert Smith, along with my co-host, Adam Stellman. Today, we'll be reviewing the preview for our Week 7 matchup against the Arizona Cardinals. I flipped my mind there. I didn't know which show we were doing, apparently.
The
Adam,
review of the preview.
A recap of the preview, exactly. Adam, let's talk Seahawks.
Yeah, let's. This feels like a get right game, doesn't it?
I sure hope so.
Yeah. We need to get right. Especially at least 50% of the team needs to get right. That 50%, of course, residing on the offense, because was very little to be happy with about the offense's performance in Cincinnati last week. I think the one thing I was happy about was Jake Bobo, because we've needed more Bobo. We finally got more Bobo, and I hope that is only an amuse-bouche of the amount of Bobo we'll have moving forward, because we need more Bobo.
We need more.
But yeah, look, we got the Redbirds at home. We're back in Lumen Field. It's going to take me a while before I can say Lumen Field just off the top of my head, guys. Sorry, I had to think about it, because it's been the C-Link for most of my career. But yeah, this feels like a get right game, and I hope to God that we get right.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I'll put it a little farther than what you said. You said half the team this is a get right game for. I'm going to add that to half the team plus the offensive sideline as well, because Shane Waldron needs to show us that he can make an in-game adjustment. He had a pretty good game plan. If you go look at the way that the plays were set up, he was definitely setting up shots down the field later in the game. He was setting up sort of things to get the defense looking the wrong way. So there was some good play design for the plays that were called. He just missed the one key aspect of any coaching outing, and that's make adjustments to suit the product on the field. He had a quarterback that was struggling. We have all said Geno Smith had his worst game as a Seahawk, basically. And Geno Smith even came out and said, hey, I take full responsibility for that. I don't know what happened, but it is what it is, and it's on me. It's not fully on him. What should have happened is the offensive coaching staff should have realized, hey, our quarterback is a little slower making decisions this game, and he's made a few questionable ones, and then looked at that offensive line and realized that at times they were just allowing free rushers right through that offensive line. In fact, shout out to Corbin Smith of Locked On Seahawks. He put out a tweet where he expected the offensive line to have really poor blocking grades. But what it was the running backs had really bad blocking grades because they weren't picking up any of these blitzers. And he said that of the 13 quarterback hits, first of all, that was more than the previous 2 games Seattle had combined. Of the 13 hits that Geno took, they all came in under 2.5 seconds.
Damn.
Something along those lines. So it's not really on. Yes, Geno probably should have recognized the blitz pre-snap in a couple of those situations, but the offensive coaching staff should have realized we were having issues in that area and shifted to a more Panthers, Lions type of game, Giants type of game, where we relied more heavily on the running game, had the tight ends involved, used short passing route combinations in order to take the pressure off of Geno. And they just didn't do it. So
yeah, I think there was a way for the offensive better look at the field as the game is going on, in order to see where the adjustments need to be made in between plays. I can't think of how we're going to be able to do that, but I think you just have like a bandstand. I don't know, some way to get above the field, to have a bird's eye view. I don't know. I'm not really sure what can be done in that. Oh, wait a minute. They could be up in the booth.
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about this and we've harped on it. Shane Waldron I don't know. I don't know why he doesn't want to be up there, but somebody kick his. I think last week the guys from the 12s podcast said
12 Talk.
just
The
have
12 Talk.
12
podcast.
Talk. Yeah, the 12 Talk podcast. Our brothers over there across the pond in England said just get Clint Hurt to drag his butt up in the booth. I think that's a good idea. So Clint, if you're listening, please go pick Waldron up and carry him upstairs so he can see what it's like when you can actually see the whole field.
Yes. And if you haven't taken a look at that or listen to that podcast, please go out there. Those guys were great. Josh and Mitch, they were just fantastic to work with. We have similar values when it comes to podcasts. We want to keep this podcast clean. They want to keep their podcast clean. They're not going to start broadcasting till next season. So it's a really good way for us to have some interaction. And yeah, please check them out. Follow them on their social media and check them out when they start broadcasting. So there was a little bit of news this week. I will say, first off, league news.
Was there?
There are a bunch of things going on, but one thing we will spotlight, we want to keep this a little bit quicker, this podcast this week, because Adam's traveling. So we're running this a little bit later in the week than we normally do. I want to get this out so all of you can listen to it before the game tomorrow, because this is Saturday night. A podcast favorite of ours from the draft season, Tyson Bagent out of Shepherd, is going to get his first start at quarterback for the Chicago Bears due to the injured Justin Fields. So I'm excited. I want to see what the NCAA all-time passing touchdowns record holder can do in the NFL.
Yeah, look, I think quarterback controversies are great for the league, bad for the team, but I'm not a Bears fan, so I could care less about the team. But I think it's great for the league. Look, I like Justin Fields. I'm on the record, if you will, giving props to Justin Fields. I think he was put into a bad situation in Chicago and hasn't been developed the right way, but I do see him making strides every year. The man is getting better every year. And now that he's got a number one receiver there, it looks like he might finally be able to unlock his passing game. But I'd love to see Badger go out there and just light up a scoreboard. They're going up against the Raiders, not exactly a defense that gives you nightmares. So I think it could be a fun game to watch. I don't often take time out to watch other teams play that aren't either in my conference or the Seahawks, but I'm probably going to be watching the Bears game this week.
Oh, I definitely will. And if I can't watch it live, then I'm definitely going to watch it on replay using NFL Plus. We're not sponsored, by the way, but hey, if they want to reach out, we're all for it. A little bit of team news. The NFL, the No Fun League, decided that it needed to wield its mighty gavel in the direction of some Seahawks this week. Adam, how are those fines looking?
Expensive is how they're looking. Jamal Adams still kind of getting into it with some of the training staff on the sideline. He had another outburst this last week, and it cost him a whopping $50,000.
That's because it wasn't the training staff.
Sorry, the medical staff. But
yeah, the independent neurologic evaluator person that they have, the neurologist on the sideline. That's who he got an issue with, and that's why it was $50,000, because that's one of those people you do not.
I
mess with.
Look, I get it. Like, he was upset that he was getting checked out again. I mean, the man, when especially when you're in the middle of the game, you feel like you're fine. Yeah, you took a hit, but you're like, I'm good. That guy's just there to help, man. I know it's hard. And look, that's the kind of player that Jamal Adams is. That's why we traded for him, because he's just hyped and rare to go all the time. Sorry, it cost him a little bit of money. Maybe just find those moments to check yourself. And speaking of checking yourself, DK Metcalf, my God, man, just grow up. I love you, DK. I really do. And I love the fire that you play with. Keep it in between the whistles, man. That's all I'm asking. Be as fired up as you want. Be as aggressive as you want. Keep it in between the whistles. Let's stop hurting this team by getting dumb penalties because you're smacking guys around after the play's already over. It helps nobody, especially not you and not your wallet. I believe it was a $23,000 fine this week for DK. So great job, DK, in proving once again that you have not matured from season to season because we thought this was behind you. You said it was behind you, and this week when you were asked about it, you were like, "I'm not going to change who I am." Well, you need to, buddy. You need to. This is one thing you need to change.
Yep. You can play with fire, but you can't let that fire burn you or your team. And that's sort of where we have this issue going on. Adam is broadcasting from a hotel room with the mighty full signal strength of hotel Wi-Fi.
That's
so
true.
For those of you who may not have heard when he started talking about DK Metcalf, that quote was, "DK, grow up." So he kind of garbled out for what I was able to hear. So for those of you out there, I feel you needed to hear his thesis of his rant.
Thank you, Rob.
Anytime. I've got your back. All right. So we'll fly through these transactions and injury reports and then get to the meat of the podcast since we're trying to keep this one short. We had actually have more transactions than I thought we did when I went and actually looked at the list. The Seahawks over this past week, they released Holton Ayers from the practice squad. They signed Greg Island and Cody White to the practice squad. And there were 2 spots available because just before the game last week, they promoted Cody Thompson from the practice squad to the active roster. Then with the active roster, they waived Ben Brown to sign Joey Hunt. So that's a backup center for backup center swap there. And since we're broadcasting this a little bit later than we normally do, we actually have the game day elevations from the practice squad.
Oh, yeah.
So a little bit of running back help. Charbonnet is on the injury report for this week. So they brought up Sir Roderick Thompson, who I think we all got a kick out of playing in the preseason, to come up and kind of help out that stable of running backs. Hopefully that means they'll actually be using running backs. So we will see how that works. And then wide receiver Aesop Winston Jr., who brings help not only as a wide receiver, but he also has special teams value as well. Look to him to possibly play a role in the kick and punt return if they end up using DJ Dallas more in the running game due to Charbonnet's injury availability. And I guess I'll just move right into the injury report then, because
let's do it. Let's keep it going.
Teed it up right there. So the good news is that the Seahawks have no players that are out. They have no players that are doubtful. So we have 5 players that are questionable for this game, which we have seen a few questionable players not be active for the game. It's sort of a game day decision. But for the most part, when I see a player as questionable, I expect to see them out, at least dressed for the game. So the 5 players are starting center, Evan Brown. Something to look for, maybe Oluwatimi. If Evan Brown can't go, Oluwatimi should get that start, and then you'll have Joey Hunt there backing Oluwatimi up. Zach Charbonnet, like I said, is questionable. Our right tackle, Jake Curran, is questionable. DK Metcalf and Phil Haynes are both questionable as well. So, 3 names, 4 names, I cannot read. 3 names on that offensive line, guys that are questionable. And then we have a couple skills position guys. Looks like our defense is pretty healthy. Our offense is a little banged up.
Yeah, I'll tell you, not to be Mr. Conspiracy Theory, and I know we want to make this quick. I'm just going to throw this out there. The elevation of Aesop Winston and Cody Thompson being signed to the roster makes me wonder if they might try and sit DK this week. He has been dealing with that rib injury. We know it hasn't really affected his game time play, but if I'm the coaching staff and I want to teach my young guy a lesson, maybe DK takes a week off to let those ribs fully heal, and let his let him stew on that a little bit. But that's it. That's my conspiracy theory. If we don't see DK, I'm telling you that's why.
I'm going to make a theme music and animation for Adam's conspiracy theory corner, and he can give us a conspiracy theory, a Seahawks conspiracy theory every week.
Wonderful. Let's talk about
the Cardinals doing?
Yeah, let's talk about the Cardinals. The Cardinals actually have quite a few guys that are out. I mean, we know, of course, that starting quarterback Kyler Murray is still out with that knee injury. so he will not be playing. It looks like Josh Dobbs is going to be getting the start. Josh Dobbs was also on the injury report, though he was a full participant. So I do expect him to get the start. But we already talked about how Badgett might be getting his first start. We could see some Clayton Tune in this game. If Josh Dobbs' injury sneaks up on him, or just because there is some clamoring out there from Cards fans to get Clayton Tune some playing time. So we may actually get to see another rookie quarterback play this week. But let's take a look at their injury report. They've got a few people listed as out. Backup cornerback Antonio Hamilton is out for the game, as is free safety Jalen Thompson, and Elijah Wilkinson, their starting left tackle, is also out. So we've got a few key guys out. There are quite a few guys that are listed as questionable as well. Cornerback Garrett Williams, also cornerback Ketrell Clark, I believe is how Ketrell Clark. I can't pronounce names, guys. I apologize.
Yeah, rookie out of Louisville, I believe.
Thank you. And wide receiver Zach Pascal are all listed as questionable. They did just elevate Garrett Williams, they just designated Garrett Williams to return from IR. So I don't really expect him to play in this game, although they are pretty thin at quarterback, so there's a possibility. Another return from IR is safety Buda Baker, which Hawks fans will remember when he got chased down after a red zone interception by DK Metcalf, probably one of DK's best highlights from his rookie season. But he is expected to play. They've also got a couple of guys that are listed as unspecified that have not been with the team. And that's, one guy, and that's starting linebacker, outside linebacker, Zaven Collins. He has not been with the team due to illness, and right now it's unspecified, but I would not expect him to play. We do have two other guys, offensive tackle Kelvin Beachum, who was their backup left tackle. He was a full participant all week, as was Jonathan Ledbetter, backup defensive end. But both of them are listed as unspecified for the game. I tried to find a little bit more news for us, but I didn't. So I'm not really sure what that portends for their playing time. But right now they're listed as unspecified. You did mention that we already knew about the Seahawks elevations. We also know about the elevations for the Cardinals as well. So they're bringing up running back Damian Williams and cornerback Bobby Price from their practice squad. Damian Williams, former running back for the Kansas City Chiefs, has had some good games. He may get some playing time. He's kind of a thumper, and with James Conner still on injured reserve, they're going to need that backup at running back. And we already said that they were kind of thin at cornerback, so I expect Bobby Price is probably going to get some playing time, whether that's defense or special teams. So they're banged up, and they're the Arizona Cardinals. And if anybody's been watching the season thus far, that's not a good thing to be. So I expect that this could be, like I said, a get-right game for the Seahawks. It's certainly teed up that way. But, of course, as we all know, all get-right games can also be trap games.
That is true. And to avoid this being a trap game, we've put together our 5 keys to success. Starting with number 1, Etu DK.
Yeah. Look, I mean, for those of you that listen to the podcast for a while, you know me and Robbie both have a theater background, and I've kind of let that show through here. We already talked about DK's issues with the penalties and hurting this team, but the reason I wanted DK to be our first key to success is I think we need to get DK involved in this game early for a couple of reasons. One, because we just need to get our big guys involved. But we got to get this offense going somehow. Now, we'll talk about the running game, but we need to take some shots to DK. He's going to get some one-on-one matchups. They're against a pretty depleted secondary. Let's go early and often to DK. Let's get him out of his head and into his body. When DK's happy, he plays better, and it's less likely that he'll be committing any of those stupid penalties. The other thing is you get DK going on the outside, that is going to open up that game in the middle for our tight ends and for Jackson Smith-Njigba, who didn't quite get going during the Bengals game due to, we think, some scheme issues, honestly. But it'd be really nice to get JSN a little bit more involved. But yeah, I think the key to getting this offense going is getting DK involved often and early.
Yeah, if he plays. And like you said, he's questionable, and who knows with those extra wide receivers up. Speaking of JSN, I'll give a shout out to Dan Vians of the Seahawks Forever podcast. He did I want to say 15, 20-minute JSN specific film breakdown to see exactly how the team was scheming up ways to get JSN involved in the game plan, and how if Geno Smith was a little more on his game, the offensive line and the running backs were a little better at picking up that blitz, how JSN may have had a bigger or even his breakout game of the season. So I will do my best to link that in the description. If I don't, just go on over to Seahawks Forever and check that out. Dan Vians does fantastic work. All right, our second key to success. Don't forget the ground game. I mean, this is something that we have harped on this entire season. And in fact,
and last season and the season before that.
Basically, anytime I talk about the Seahawks, I try to just will them into having a balanced offense, or at least slightly balanced offense. You can't forget about your biggest performers this year, which are the running backs. I mean, a lot of that had to do with the offensive line injuries and them trying to take some pressure off of Geno Smith, but you cannot forget the running game. The Seahawks have had a breakdown in play calling. And by breakdown, I mean Shane Waldron does what Shane Waldron does, and that is panic at the worst possible time when the Seahawks are down by more than 1 point. Then Shane Waldron
or even
decides,
just 1 point.
Yes. Shane Waldron decides that the Seahawks no longer need to play fundamental football. We're going to turn this into a game of Madden and 4 verts all day long, which is an exaggeration, but his play calling gets skewed. We'll end up with one run to start a drive and then pass, punt, because they can't seem to be effective. But they can't be effective because when the Seahawks get behind, their offense becomes one-dimensional. So let's keep this balanced. Get right in that sweet spot. Like I always say, give me 55% pass plays, 45% run plays. I'll be a happy camper, and we will win the ball game when you stick to fundamental football.
Yeah, look, who's been the best offensive performer on the team so far this year? Kenneth Walker III. He's been the best player on offense for the Seahawks this year. He's been the best skill position player on offense for the Seahawks this year. Shout out to our offensive line guys for stepping up big, especially when we had the starting tackles go down. But look, we went away from the ground game late in the game, and I'm convinced that's why we lost that game. We could not sustain a drive, especially after, and we couldn't finish a drive, especially in the red zone. And it's because we weren't running the ball. Kenneth Walker is a big play waiting to happen every single play. He's also got some of the best vision I have ever seen in a running back. The man will find a hole if it's there. And this offensive line has been giving him maybe small ones, but there have been some holes. And in the red zone, he has been able to find the end zone. The man has a nose for the end zone. He wants to score a touchdown. We may not see Zach Charbonnet this game, and even if we do, I don't expect him to get a heavy workload because he's never gotten one as a Seahawk. And yeah, you want to neutralize pass rush. You want to open up your wide receivers. You want to open up the offensive game, Shane Waldron. Keep running the ball. As long as the threat of that run is there, they are not going to be able to put everybody back in coverage, especially with a guy like Kenneth Walker back there, because all he needs is a little bit of daylight, and he is a home run waiting to happen. So yeah, let's continue to run the ball all the way down to the wire. I want the last play the Seahawks run on offense to be a run call. That means we've won the game.
Yeah. And to put that in context a little bit, we know that Charbonnet runs with power. He's the guy at the goal line who's stuffing it in your face. We want to use him as that short yardage back, change of pace back. Well, he had 2 carries in the game in Cincinnati. There's not a running back on earth who can get into rhythm with 2 carries. And Kenneth Walker didn't fare that much better. I don't have his stats in front of me because this isn't a recap show. I'm just mad, so it's coming out. But you can't get these guys in rhythm without running the ball. And to put that in perspective, Geno Smith was having a bad game, right? Our pass blocking was having a bad game. And what else was going on? Oh, Anthony Bradford, who was starting due to Damian Lewis injury and Phil Haynes going over to the left side. Oh, Anthony Bradford just went out and put up a 90 plus run blocking grade, the number one run blocking grade by an offensive lineman in the NFL last week. But our offensive coaching staff weren't astute enough to go out there and take advantage of where we were winning in the trenches. It blows my mind. So, number 2 key to success, don't forget the ground game. Shane Waldron, this is to you.
Speaking of the ground game, go ahead, Rob. You're the guy that's supposed to be saying these things. I don't know why I keyed in there.
Hey, it's fine. You were feeling it. I was putting that energy out there.
You were.
You know, don't leave points on the field, right? It's the danger zone or the red zone in this case.
Should be the red zone. For the Seahawks, it's been the danger zone.
They just can't get it together in the red zone. That's the thing you can't do. I believe we had, what was that? Our last 4 trips to the red zone or something last game. We only scored 3 points. It's insane. It's one of those things that should drive you nuts as a coaching staff. It should drive you nuts as a fan, even, because I mean, I'm lost for words right now, Adam. You might need to come bail me out here, but I can't leave points on the field.
I don't know what else you can really say other than, we can't be, we took 5 trips to the red zone and have 3 points to show for it. 2 interceptions, and two losses on downs, and then 1 field goal. That's not getting it done. And part of the way to keep that going, again, we've already said it, keep running the ball. I mean, yes, it's a shorter field, but with a guy like Kenneth Walker in the backfield that has that kind of vision, again, give him a little bit of daylight, he can find you the touchdown. He can be the difference in this game if you let him. And I know we've already said we're going up against a depleted Cardinals team that hasn't been playing very well. They're still a division rival, and they're going to come to play. They're always going to come to play the Seahawks. They always do. Even when the Cardinals have looked bad, they've made the Seahawks look bad. I think the last time we beat them, they scored 9 points and we scored 13. So it wasn't like we sucked it to them. So yeah, when we get inside the 20s, we've got to come away with points. I know last week we said we didn't really want to rely on Jason Myers' leg, and I already apologized that. Sorry, Jason. We obviously should have relied on your leg because you convert 2 of those field goals instead of a turnover on downs, and we win that game. So I'd hate to come away with 3 points every time we're in the red zone, but if we come away with 3 points every time we're in the red zone, that's fine. Just come away with points when we're in the red zone.
Hopefully that's not a problem in this game. Once again, this is us previewing the Cardinals. I need to get over the Bengals game. It's past. It's history.
Short memory. Very important.
Yeah, goldfish, right? Shout out Ted Lasso. All right. So our 4th key to success.
Great show.
You know, we got to bring that BDE, right? That big defense energy. Yeah, that's right. You probably didn't think that's what I was going to say, but I did. Big defense energy. Our defense has to play like they did last game, right? Our defense played great. They had 2 drives that were a little bit, they were getting into rhythm. After that, they shut the Bengals down. And before that, they shut the Eagles down, right? Not the Eagles, excuse me, the Giants down. So this defense is here to play. We're starting to see Clint Hurtt's vision. We went into that quite a bit with the guys from the 12 Talk podcast on our last episode. We're starting to see what this defense can do. We're starting to see the potential in it. Jamal Adams was flying around the field. He's a difference maker. We're seeing him come in as the weak linebacker in certain dime packages or playing that big nickel when we need him, but then he'll also play back in coverage. He was all over the field last game, and that's what he brings to this game this week and this defense moving forward. that we need to play like we did before. We need to get after the quarterback. We need to play tight coverage. Guys need to trust the other players, which I think is where we were missing some of that early in the season in the secondary. So there you go. Bring that energy, defense, because you got to fly around, because this offense needs to get right, like Adam said in this game. And to do that, the defense has to step up and cover them if they make any mistakes.
Yeah, look, the defense has been the driving force behind this team, something that I personally love seeing, because when the Seahawks, especially under Pete Carroll, have been at their best, it's been because the defense is setting the tone for the game. This defense has done it the last several weeks. Yes, the offenses look good, and you know, coming off of last year, this was an offensive team because the defense didn't look right. It's starting to look right. I fully believe that this is what Clint Hurt wants on the field. Is these when we have 5 defensive backs out there, it's those 3 safeties, or sometimes we'll have a smaller nickel by moving Devin Witherspoon inside. He's a playmaker; he can do it. That's fine. But we want to be able to make sure that middle zone of the field is completely covered, and let our guys on the outside win their one-on-one matchups, and allow that 3-4 front to come at you from different angles, different alignments, to keep the offensive line guessing as to where the blitz, if there's a blitz coming from, or even just the 4th rusher. Because again, when you have that three-man front, that 4th rusher can come from either side or the middle. And both of our middle linebackers, in starting middle linebackers, in Jordan Brooks and Bobby Wagner, have been incredibly effective in the blitz game this year. So I think Clint Hurt finally has the personnel he wants out there on the field, down after down. I think we saw that last game, that what he can do when he has those guys healthy. I fully expect them to come out and play really hard this game, set the tone, and yeah, make this easy on the offense. The offense is making it hard on themselves, but the defense has been making it easy for them. I fully expect that to be the theme in this game as well.
Oh, I agree. And from what we've been able to see just from this one game of their intended defensive look, it looks like the big nickel has Jamal Adams down kind of in that slot role, with Witherspoon to the outside, and Brooks playing that other middle linebacker position. But that small nickel has Witherspoon in the slot and Jamal Adams playing in Brooks' position, and Brooks being off the field. So those are 2 formations to watch, and obviously Julian Love picks up the other safety spot whenever Jamal Adams is not there. Those are 2 formations to watch as you watch this game. Kind of keep an eye out for where Jordan Brooks is at, because that may tell us how we're looking at these coverage formations, and if they're expecting possibly a deep shot or not. I think Jordan Brooks is going to be the key to us diagnosing pre-play kind of what the defense is expecting.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think this is what Clint Hurt wants on the field. I think we saw that last week, and I want to see it again this week.
So I'm just going to update everybody out there in the audio only world on YouTube as we're live streaming this right now. We have Mitch from the 12 Talk podcast in the comments throwing in some hot takes. So he just threw one out, and I want to put this out here because I love it when guys are willing to,
engage,
step up and engage. And so Mitch just put down here, he said, hot take, 3 sack day for Boye Mafe. I would love to see it, first of all. Why don't you chime into the comments or hit us up on our social media? If you're on Twitter, that's at LT Seahawks Pod. Let us know. Do you agree with Mitch? Do you think Mafe is going to come out and just take it to the Cardinals and have a 3 sack day? I'd love to see it. Mafe is one of my favorite players, one of the young defensive players that we have on this team. So I love it. Great take.
Yeah, cut to Robbie going and placing a bet on a over-under for Boye Mafe's sack total.
I'll do it.
To bet, Rob.
Mitch, you're listening right now, so I will place a bet on Boye Mafe 2+ sacks. I'll do it right after we finish recording this. All right, we digress. Our 5th key to success is no bench warmers, right? Let's take it to the Cardinals. Let's get these backups some playing time because why not, right? Our starters need a break. Let's go up by multiple touchdowns in the first half, go into the halftime all feeling relaxed and good. Coaches come out not making any adjustments because they're doing really good stuff, which is fine because they've made poor adjustments this whole year. So I don't really want them trying to make halftime adjustments. So they come out, maybe have another drive or two with the starters, score another 2 touchdowns, get those backups off the sideline and get some game time action for those bottom of the roster guys. No bench warmers. That's what we want to see.
Yeah, look, I this is more again about me manifesting what I want to see happen in this game as opposed to necessarily a key to success. Obviously, if the backups are getting time late in this game, that means the Seahawks are winning this game. So we could still say it's a key to success. But look, we've had one game this year, the Giants game, where we got to see the benches. I was going to say cleared. That implies a fight. We did not get to see the benches cleared during the Giants game. Let me take them step back a little bit on that. We got to see those backups get a lot of playing time. I would love to see Kenneth Walker with his butt on a bench, which is odd because we said no bench warmers, but Kenneth Walker's butt on the bench during the last. I'd like to see Geno Smith with his butt on the bench in the last quarter of this game. What I really want to see is more Drew Lock to Jake Bobo connection because that was fun to watch in the Giants game. I want to see more of that. I definitely want to see more Bobo. And I think the way that we're going to get to see more Bobo is by having those guys that usually aren't in the starting lineup, or at least not in the say 2 or 1 wide receiver sets out there at the end of this game. If those guys are going to get playing time anytime in the next several weeks, this is it. We've got a really tough stretch of games coming up after this week. So let's get our big guys some rest. Get our backup some action just in case they need to come in a little bit later in the year and bail us out. Because and again, I feel like we're setting ourselves up for a trap game right now. I'm gonna stop talking. We put it out there. We think this is gonna be a great game for the Seahawks. We're gonna get into our game predictions in a little bit, but yeah, I'd love to see us get those backups some time on the field.
So a segment we do every week are our position matchups. We look at our wide receivers versus their wide receivers, offensive linemen, every position group. And we pick which team has the edge in that group. Well, we were looking at these rosters, going down the depth chart, and I'm going to tell you right now, that would be a very boring segment because I had it as a Seahawks clean sweep, and Adam also had it as a Seahawks clean sweep. And that wasn't us being homers. Like, this roster needs a bit of work in Arizona. Yeah. And so there you have it. Position group comparisons, Seahawks all the way.
Yeah, I have nothing to add.
All right, Adam, what's your prediction for this game?
Again, we know the Seahawks offense can put up points in bunches. We know the Cardinals defense is allowing teams to put up points in bunches. I expect to see a high-scoring Seahawks offense in this game. I also expect that we're going to get some backup in the game, late in the game, and the Cardinals are going to be able to get in the end zone in the fourth quarter. So I've got the Seahawks 33, Cardinals 19. The one touchdown the Cardinals are going to score is going to come late in the game.
All right. I went a different route in this. No. I, like you said, believe that we're going to take it to them. Well, but I think that's just going to carry over to when the backups come in as well. So my score prediction are Arizona Cardinals. What was that?
I was going to say, are you predicting a shutout?
Oh, I am not. Arizona Cardinals 3. Seattle Seahawks 27, because I feel when the backups come in, they might take their foot off the gas a little bit. Otherwise, this would have been 35, 40 points.
Mitch coming in with another hot take. Mitch wants to get out on this action. Mitch's prediction, Seahawks 45, Cardinals 17. He says Geno Smith is going to have his first 70-plus completion game this season, and JSN is going to get his first 100-yard game. Thank you for throwing more bets out Robbie's way. I'm sure his wife Elizabeth thanks you for giving him more things to throw money on.
But that's okay, right? When you bet for fun and you don't, waste your money on it, then you're fine. I mean, it's all kind of wasted money, but it's money that I expect to lose, and I'm happy when I win. So, Adam, what are your final thoughts before we wrap this up? Are you looking forward to this game against the Cardinals?
Yes, I am, only because I think I need to wash out the taste of that Bengals loss, and I think this is going to be the game to do it again. After going hard with the manifestations last week, I'm feeling a little hesitant this week, and maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I shouldn't be trying to manifest for my Seahawks. But I do think this is going to be a get right game. I think we're going to see the team get back to its winning ways. I do think, like Mitch, that Geno Smith's going to have one of his better games of the year. I think that this could be JSN's breakout game. I certainly hope it is. I also think that if Zach Charbonnet plays, this could be a game where he gets his first touchdown. Sorry, Robbie, it's a week late for that bet, but yeah, I fully expect the Seahawks to show up for the 12s at home and just put a pounding on these depleted Redbirds.
That's right along my same thoughts when it comes to final thoughts. I believe the Seahawks are going to be focused going into this game. I think it was a real wake-up call in Cincinnati because they did not play like they played. The defense took a step up, the offense took a step back, but there were identifiable weaknesses within the offense. So I'm going to have faith that the coaching staff was able to coach that up or motivate that, whichever aspect that needed. And you can see that in my game prediction. So I'm excited for this game. I think the Seahawks are going to have an exciting, action-packed show for us, and I'm excited to see it. Thank you for listening or watching the Let's Talk Seahawks podcast. We always enjoy interacting with our fans. Thank you, Mitch, for throwing in a few interaction points with us this time. Thank you out there for listening. Thank you out there for watching. Subscribe and rate wherever you're watching or listening to this, and we'll catch you next time. As always, go Hawks.
Go Hawks.